There's no script here. But hey, thank you for coming on the Big Fat Podcast today. We've got Niko and Kayla Cordero. Yep. I got that all figured out.
Yes.
And if you haven't already, one thing I don't do well is I don't remind people to like and share the podcast, whatever platform you're on. Also, go ahead, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Why? Because it makes you feel good. Let's get down to this. All right. Hey, thanks for making the drive out here today. This is a little ways out here.
Not really.
Not really? Wasn't bad?
No.
You guys drive to Bozeman a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And for weddings and stuff. So this is just like a half little
that
trip
or like
for you.
Red Lodge. I think we go to Red Lodge more than Bozeman, but we just went to Red Lodge the other day actually for a shoot. So yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, we love traveling, and Columbus didn't feel too far. Yeah, we've stopped here a few times, and then I realized that it's right by Absaroka where you go like cliff jumping and stuff.
Oh, yep. Cliff Swallows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Haven't been there in a while, but cool spot. This is a cool place in Montana. Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, of course. We go ahead and take a moment and tell us what you guys do and what your gig is. What do you guys do?
Yeah, we'd love to talk to your amazing and large audience. So my wife and I own 406 Memories, and we are a photography and DJ company that started with just both of us, and now we have a couple more team members that help us. And pretty much it started with the vision of having both photography and DJ services be combined, or just be able to have a package together, or just do the both services separately. So that's how that started, and we focus very much on weddings and couple photography and those type of portraits. That's what we like to do together, and then separately we have our own different branches that we specialize in of photography. And yeah, I'll let Kayla talk a little bit more about what we love doing.
What do you love doing?
Wait, you did great over there.
What do you love doing, Kayla?
So, like Niko was saying, we like to specialize in our separate types of photography. So my favorite type of photography is boudoir, and I probably mispronounce it, but that's okay. But I specialize in boudoir photography. I call myself a confidence photographer. So I build confidence in women using my photos. So that's my favorite. And I also like doing seniors as well.
Oh, nice.
I've seen some of your photos because I follow you guys. So I see your photos that you put up and stuff, and they're absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And I just read that you have only been doing it for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how did that all come about?
So I guess like when Niko and I first met, I didn't know anything about photos, and we've only been together for about 4.5 years. So when we decided to do the whole company, I thought it was going to be all Niko. He could do everything, and I was just going to talk to customers and kind of do the back end.
Side of it.
Yeah. And then I started going to shoots with him, and I started like really diving into it. I'm like, hey, I want to get into this too. I want to learn about photography. So Niko told me everything that I know. I have been on YouTube. I've took many classes, and I've had to catch up very fastly with how much Niko knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really, really like it. It's a lot of fun.
And it's always evolving because new cameras are coming out, new techniques and new lighting, things that are the in thing. And
Yep.
You-
Sorry, I'm like looking at you instead of the camera. But
Oh, no, that's fine. We ignore them. It's half the time.
Yep,
anyway,
I always look at people when I'm talking.
okay,
so.
good.
Yeah, either way.
I feel like it's rude if I don't look at you. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really like it. I really look up to my husband and everything that he knows. So it's kind of cool.
You, baby. Going back to how we started everything, is Kayla was the reason that why we started the business, because I was going to school for communications and different stuff. I didn't really know that I wanted to have like visual arts as like my profession. And then Kayla was the one that really pushed us to like start the business and actually have me start taking photos.
So you guys started the business together. It wasn't a previous thing.
No. Yeah.
I was taking photos of just random things like bunnies and just wildlife.
Fun fact. Wait.
Go ahead.
Fun fact. We met on Tinder, okay? And one of his first messages he ever sent me was, he's like, hey, do you want to see a picture of a moose? I'm like, sure, I want to see a picture of a moose. And he sent me like this cute little picture of this moose. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the cutest thing. And it was love at first moose, I guess.
That's great.
So yeah, I love photos and stuff, but I never never really like made any money from it, other than like working for like newspaper here and there. And then Kayla was the one that pushed me to do portraits and actually do that. And then that's when we started taking pictures of couples and stuff. And I sucked at first.
We both did so bad.
It wasn't very good at first, but then I saw it and it felt really good about how, we just knew that's what we needed to do. And from there, Kayla helped me, like on Facebook and posting on Marketplace and stuff. Because at first I probably wouldn't have been the one to do that. And then that's how we started getting like the sessions in and stuff, and then building an actual like following, and we built our page
your
after
clientele
that.
and
yeah, it's an ever learning thing. Like every day we always learn so many things.
So yeah, that's how it all started. But yeah, going back to like you guys said that you guys don't really love to talk about burritos all the time. Right?
Well,
just because it feels like people put you in boxes, right? You're like,
right.
Oh, well, they are the.
That's all they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're the burrito people, or sometimes people try to relate so that they might, try to start a conversation that way. But yeah, I mean, life is plentiful, and we love to do so many things, and
when somebody recognizes you, though, for what you do, and that's what they talk about you with, it's actually a compliment to branding.
Sure, yeah.
You've branded. We've branded ourselves as something,
very
and they
successfully, yeah.
And they have, they recognize that, but then, like you say, they're trying to start a conversation with you. They don't know anything else about you, so we do get that. We're just
It's not like we're a complete stranger because people see what we're doing and we are out there on the social media game of it, but that's what they see. They don't see the backside of like other things you have.
So, but people see you now for like that, you're a wedding photographer, right? And like that's what they identify with, and they see that because you guys do have great content out there. I go through your photos all the time. I see your stuff, and it's really good. I go through all kinds of photographers' stuff around here because I'm trying to learn what I can as I go, and then we try to apply it to what we're doing. And so I try to see like what are professionals out there doing, what are they putting out, and there's some hokey stuff out there.
Yeah,
there's some professionals out there that aren't so professional. I would say, not to just bag on somebody, but I'm just calling it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I know it. There's some people out there that everybody's just trying to make it, right? But your stuff looks really good. Your stuff looks very professional. That. I wouldn't say I would have been like, oh, okay, he went to school for this, or you went to school for this, or I would, to be, relatively self-taught, self-educated in this. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. I think you got to be killing it. How much would you say? Like in your business, like you do the photography and DJ service, which is perfect because if I'm putting on a wedding, or I gotta do that, like to have it all in one spot and I don't gotta go call different people, that would be really great. How much do you think a percentage of that is a package deal versus doing things separately for people? Does that question even make sense?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I believe maybe Niko might say something different, but whenever we meet with someone that wants directly like photos, right? It's really easy just to add on the DJ. They're like, oh yeah, you guys do DJ? Okay, let's add it on. So I want to say probably like 70% of the people, especially everyone that does photos with us, they just I think of all the weddings that we did in 2021, we had only like one or two weddings where we just did photos. Yeah. We do a lot of DJ separately. Yeah. But a lot of our photos that we do, we also do DJ. So I say probably 70%. What do you think?
Yep. Yeah, it's just right around there.
Yeah.
With all the stuff that we were figuring out from like last year, we still haven't done all of our like recapping like all of our year and stuff, our photos. We're still kind of late in that regard, but looking at that, that's the case, is like especially for weddings, right? But it is cool to be able to, if someone's just looking for DJing, they can add us on, or if just for photos. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I feel like, and that's what we brought to, I feel like Montana and Billings, and something that was new, that was different, and so in a way like it innovated, and then us being a couple, I feel like people really like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that people are copying us, but we're kind of creating a wave.
Oh, we kind of shook up the wedding industry.
That people, they see, I don't want to be super hot-headed, but they see us being successful, and then they're like, well, anyone can do it. And that's the truth. It's like, you just have to do it.
It's the doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're just talking about it, that's not going to get you there. But if you do it every day, then absolutely anyone can do it.
Yep.
And that's what we love to say. And what we really care about is like, the people that trust us for their day. And that's who we'll do anything for, and that's what we're there for, just to help people. And that's what we've also included, like video stuff too, because we see a very, just a lack of videographers in town. And, and people that understand that video is important, and things like that for weddings wise, and just in general. But we are photographers, and you can take 1,000 pictures, but a video with audio and stuff just tells so much more, kind of like what you're doing now. The podcast and audio is cool and nice, but taking it to another level and doing the video and seeing all the nonverbals of people and everything, that just conveys so much more information. And for you to be able to tell that in a wedding day, it's so cool. So and it's the thing where we can't do it all. Kayla and I can't tackle absolutely everything, but having other people involved, and then other artists being able to express themselves through video and other mediums, and it's really cool.
And just for the generations after that wedding, and the kids and the grandkids and the great grandkids to follow, that's super amazing, because a lot of people didn't have that in the generations before that get to see their great great grandmother be married.
And
so
I think it's
that's
really
pretty special.
Yep.
The thing that I find though with video is pictures convey emotion, and there's so much in a picture, and you can draw emotion out of it, and whatever. I think though, when you're offering that video, there's different tools now to draw that emotion.
Right.
You can with the music and light, and just the whole composition of that video, drawing somebody in, the movement of it, of a shot coming in on somebody. I just feel like it's another tool in your toolbox to be able to convey emotion, which is why I think that getting into the video game is smart. It's powerful. Photos are powerful. It's just all different kind of whatever. And that's what really people are. I think that's what people are hiring you to do, is they're hiring you to, do you find this, that they're hiring you to create an atmosphere and to basically draw emotion. That's what you're doing in DJing. That I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that's what you're doing by setting the tone with the music. That's what you're doing by capturing that experience, is to draw emotion out of this event and document it for them.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful.
Certainly, that's a part of what we do. Yeah, that you simplified in a very smart way. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and that's got to be fun to go do that and share that with people.
Yeah, I love it.
And to share it with each other.
Yeah. A lot of people ask me, like a lot of our clients are like, how is it working with your significant other?
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
You guys know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, and so many people are like, I just commend you for working with your husband all the time. I would kill my husband, blah, blah, blah. And, I feel like working with your significant other is just, it's hard, but it's also, I feel like it just brings this bond with you guys that, like, with your significant other that no one else could really have unless you work with them.
You marry your best friend.
Yeah.
Technically, that's what you do.
Right.
Why would you want to spend every day with your best friend?
Right.
Like, that's your person.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Well, Niko and I were not best friends when we first met, so we didn't really know each other very much. But we've grew this relationship and this friendship, and it's just...
Yeah,
awesome.
Now we're best friends.
Now we're best friends.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I always have people do the same thing, though. They tell me, like, well, I used to have people tell me, like, how do you work with your wife, man?
Yeah.
I couldn't work with my wife. I'm always, in my head, I was always thinking then, why are you with her?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I can't imagine, doing what we do. I can't imagine, not to get all warm and fuzzy here, but I couldn't imagine doing that doing this. I couldn't do this with anybody else, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Those
and I wouldn't.
Right words. You couldn't do it.
Right. And I wouldn't. And one good thing about it, though, is like we're kind of growing in the same direction. You aren't going to work and living a different life that you can't relate to your spouse when you come home. And so you don't talk about it because she doesn't understand or he doesn't understand. And I find that's nice because
we both understand and we both are where the other person is. I mean, we're both our own people and we both have our own, you know, goals and aspirations, but we also have the same goal.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's, we both just relate to the feelings, the day, the emotions of it all,
you
all
go
of
through
it.
it together.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I agree with that too, which I also really like because then Niko and I, well, I mean, sometimes I don't like it either because then we nonstop talk about work all the time. And I'm like, let's talk about something different. But
yeah.
Want to reel me back in because I'll be working all day if I could.
All night too.
3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at night. And it's like, okay.
Yes. So it's good to have that balance.
Just a brain break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So you would work all day, all night, huh?
Would, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like what I do, and I feel like we're very lucky that we get to pick what we're doing, and it's really cool. And I always want to keep. I don't know if that's like from my dad or what it is, but we're just kind of workaholics, and we love to keep striving for more and keep doing more. You know, just so we can keep growing. The business, kind of like going back to what you said, like the emotion and stuff. It's really, really cool that we get to play with that too.
Yeah.
There's other business people that are like, what's your why? Like, why do you do what you do? Like, what's your why behind what you do?
Which is a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I always go back to my kids. I think Niko may have a different why, but I think we might have the same one. But my why is my kids. Like, I'm like, if I'm not working, if I'm not striving to do what I can, like, I'm failing my kids. So my why is my kids. And I think that's why I try so hard to do what we do.
To be that role model for your kids to see and show them what it is to strive towards goals and to see you working and give them that ethic and those things to see in you, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what's your why, Niko?
Yeah. I mean, definitely our kiddos and our just as a whole being able to, because once that is achieved, you know, hopefully we're able to have the freedom of being able to spend it however we'd like with them, and they get to spend more time with us and their grandparents and all this. So absolutely that's the why of like our kids and them being able to do what they want. You're not having money or resources being a limitation for what they would like to do. And then time is a big one, right? Because we want to bust our asses right now while we're young, so we hopefully have fun later on too. I mean, we're having fun in the process, like we said, but like
have that freedom.
Yeah, have that freedom, and that's why I love this country too, because it allows you that opportunity. And that's why I don't like people that complain. Like I just don't like people that complain. And it's okay to complain about certain things. You know, the world is not perfect, and we certainly should change certain things. But we are so lucky to live in this world, and it's awesome that we get to do that. So yeah, but it's cool that we've recently found that why. And people kept asking us that, and it's kind of
driven us a little bit more.
But that why always changes too, because like right now it's your kids,
right?
And then when your kids are grown and they're doing their own thing, your why is always going to evolve and change.
I guess you're right. So currently, right now, this is our why.
Yeah.
So where are you from? You said that you love this country, so you're not originally from Billings,
right? No. Yes, not originally from the Big Sky, Montana, this lovely state that we've made our home. Well, I've made my home. Kayla was already here, but I'm from Quito, Ecuador, so I'm from the South America, and so I'm originally from there. I was born and raised there till I was 15, and then I came to the States, and then I started going to high school here, just kind of thrown into it 1 year after summer, and I went to Billings Central, and then after that I started going to high school there, and then I went to Rocky after that in Billings, and then since then I've just always loved Billings, and everyone has been super nice to me and welcomed me with open arms. And yeah, I went to school here, got educated, and yeah, my family moved here, like I said, when I was 15, so that was in 2009, and yeah, since then we've lived here in Billings.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So you've actually been in this country less time. I feel weird now because, well, not weird, but like that's amazing to me. Like I always feel like I'm a transplant to Montana. I moved here in 2007. So I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
I've lived here longer in Montana now, which nobody else cares, but this is just what goes on in my own head.
Yeah.
Right? Because so I moved here in 2007 and you didn't even move to the country until 2009?
Yes.
Wow. So you've been in the U.S. for less time than I've been in Montana now. But I guarantee you, if I moved down to Ecuador and in 2009 to now, I would not be able to speak as, like without an accent or without, did you speak any English before you moved up here?
Yeah, I was very lucky to, like, my parents put me in a bilingual school. So that's why my English is so good, I should say. It's because they put me in this bilingual school. Since I was a kid, I was practicing English. Like half of the subjects were in English. So I would get geography in English, art in English, all these in English. And that's why people should start speaking other languages earlier.
I agree 100%.
And that's why the whole reason why I think a big reason why I'm, successful in the language. And then I have to just give it up to my parents because they were the ones that pushed that. And
do you find being bilingual though helps you in your business today up here?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and it hasn't been to recently that I finally started to kind of lean on that because, to be honest, I mean, it was hard for me to talk about being an immigrant for a long time just because people look down on people that are different or people that come from somewhere else. So it comes with a lot of embarrassment, even if you did it the right way or not. You didn't cross the border or cross the Rio Grande or whatnot, but there's still a lot of shame involved in that for some reason. But I finally got past that, and the power that brings is that you being different and being from somewhere else actually gives you a lot more uniqueness. And
of course.
100%
and
agree.
now people just search for me just because I am bilingual.
Oh yeah.
They'll want me at their wedding just because I can make the announcements in Spanish, and their families from Mexico, their families from Texas or Arizona.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of that Latin influence, and they want someone that can juggle both the English and the Spanish and also play some of that Spanish music. So it's really cool. And then like venues now put me on their venue list and they'll let them know that I speak Spanish too.
Yeah.
So that's been a really cool thing because from like a negative thing, now it's like a positive thing that, just that transition has been really cool in the past years that we've seen. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And unfortunate that somebody would, if you had, those experiences, that's unfortunate that people are going to be like that or act like that about somebody from.
I think it's better to have somebody from somewhere else and have that cultural experiences and that. Like, that's my dream is to travel. I want to travel everywhere and see everything.
That's so awesome. And that's why I love people like you guys. And a lot of people do have those thoughts, and I really appreciate you guys being so open. Oh,
well, yeah, my son Connor, he spent 2 years down in Lima, Peru.
Yes.
And he came back, and I'm all over him all the time. I'm like, dude, are you practicing that language? Do not lose that language. Yeah. And then
so good.
Yeah, and I'm on him all the time, and he's like, no, I'm good. But then he'll get into a situation where he's got to use it, and he's like, oh man, I'm getting rusty. And you start to lose this skill. If you're not using this skill, you're going to lose it. And I fear that over time, it's going to start slipping away. He can still jabber with people, and I love it. I love when he can, like, when he was at the window, he's not here anymore, he's out in Utah, but when somebody came to the window who didn't speak English or didn't speak very good, he would just start up, and I'm like, man, that's a superpower. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could speak Spanish. I grew up in Southern Nevada in the Las Vegas area, heavily Hispanic area. And I actually used to deliver bathtubs, fiberglass bathtubs off the back of a semi-truck to all Mexican crews. And like one guy spoke some English and most of them didn't. And I was amazed. I was trying to pick up Spanish from them. And they're just teaching me just like bad stuff and, whatever. But there was a lot of them, though, that were making no effort to learn English. And after like 3 years of working around these guys, like I was like, I'm picking up more Spanish than these guys are picking it up English. And it was interesting that some of them just did not care. Like they're not going to try. There's free classes I'd heard that some guys would go to. I'm like, how does this guy know English so well? And these guys don't or whatever, because they all kind of came over around the same time or whatever. And some people, they cared to learn it and some people didn't. Who cared to learn it was in charge.
Yep.
And it's like it's just an added tool in your toolbox there. Why wouldn't you
learn?
Yeah, why wouldn't you just learn it? I keep telling myself I need to learn Spanish even now at this age.
Yeah, once you get older, it's a lot harder for sure, but it's definitely not impossible still. I mean, you can definitely still, and if you have the want for it, right? The wanting to do it is the big thing.
And there's so many resources out there that you can just have it.
Yeah, now Kayla found some apps and stuff. She's been learning a lot too through that. That's really cool.
What have you been using?
I have to double check. Let me check. They make it kind of like a game, and it's actually kind of fun. What is it called?
My friend.
It's Duolingo.
Okay. Duolingo. I downloaded it a couple of years ago, and I started it for like 2 days, and then I was like, I stopped.
Angela,
I got to pick it back up.
Flew over to Japan because her sister-in-law is actually from Japan, and so before she was flying over there for their wedding, she sat there and she got all her main words down and different things so she would know what the restroom was and different things just on her plane ride. And she, had enough down to where she could go over there and at least know the main things.
That's good.
So, it's so simple.
That's so cool.
Yeah, my daughter Alex, she's been on Duolingo learning Spanish. And Connor was home over Christmas. He was just telling me, he was just like, Alex is like doing really well on Duolingo, and she keeps on like sending me stuff, or she'll test me, and like there's stuff that she's doing like better than I do. Like when he was down in Peru, mainly all of his language was based around churchy stuff and teaching his religion, all that kind of stuff. So he didn't get a lot of good conversational, like a bunch of other outsider stuff. But anyway, so my daughter Alex has been hitting it on Duolingo.
That's awesome.
And
that's cool.
It is. It's a superpower. Yeah. So hopefully.
Yeah, and it's really cool that, Billings and Montana as a whole has been getting a lot more diverse.
Yeah.
And people, just a lot more culture and stuff. And like April was saying, like with the Japanese and going over there, like it just seems like, well, I feel like I always say like Montana and Billings is like 10 years behind the curve for all the other countries.
Always has been.
Right? And it's okay because that just means that there's a lot of room for opportunity and growth and ideas to come to,
Well,
here.
And it's not even just like languages either. It's about how people have conversations in other countries, how people's mannerisms, how people close they stand, whether they kiss this cheek first or that cheek. Like it is like a huge how families live. It's not just language. It's all the above of how people interact with each other and do things, and I guess to cross that bridge to get to know those different things and how people are like, oh, she's not just rude, that's just how she grew up,
exactly. So I always thought, so like Niko kind of is like the first person that I've ever gotten really close to that's from somewhere else, and something that I thought was so interesting was they're so touchy and lovey, and like here we're like personally with my family we don't touch each other, we don't love each other.
I come from Russians and Germans and like
and these guys are always just like hugging and loving and kissing, and I'm like, what, are you guys okay? So it's so different, and I love it. It's really cool.
Yeah. I have a nephew who went to Ecuador for a couple of years. I got a whole big family of Mormons. They all go on missions all over the world.
That's
anyway,
cool, though.
But I do have he loved it. He went down to Ecuador, spent 2 years in Ecuador, and he says the people are just completely open and friendly and just, good, just warm-hearted people. And I don't know. I grew up in Vegas around all kinds of people and all kinds of stuff. So it kind of bums me out when you hear that, people are not so warm and welcoming and everything. And that's one one downside about, I guess, American culture or something is we tend to close ourselves off when we do have so many cultures around us, and we tend to. Some people do. That's unfortunate, but I think hopefully that trend is changing somewhat.
I think with the generations and stuff, it's very much like it's grown. Like even from mine or my parents' generation, my generation especially, you know, we're just we're much more open.
Yes, I agree with you too.
Yes, we are. Yeah, and then it ends up being about like the perspective, you know, that you have. You know, if like I was saying, like maybe I was stuck in like kind of like a negative perspective, but once you turn it around and you realize, you know, you are different and you are, you know, unique, but you have this to bring. And everyone can look at themselves that way, you know, whether you come from a different country or you have a different sort of skill or valuable something to bring, you know, if you're bringing something different, sometimes at first it might not be accepted right away, but then later on it changes and then you can bring that.
I always told Niko that if someone can't accept us for where he's from, then we just don't need to be around them or work with them. Like, simple as that. Like,
it's easy. Yeah. Cut people out that are drag you down or bring negativity to you. Yeah. That's You know, so as you guys have been building this business and you guys are killing it out there, I've seen that, and I'm like, oh great, I know those people, and they're doing really good work.
We feel the same about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, exactly how I feel.
Thank you. I respect when people are out there really putting forth an honest effort and learning the process and trying to just give it, I don't know, just an honest effort and just trying to do it. We have failures that we learn from, and we all, you know, we don't know behind the scenes of the struggles or challenges that you have, but what comes across is that, and we know they're there, but what comes across is that you guys are professional and you run a good solid gig. But I'm curious, like, what, if you could go back now, what do you know now about this, of what you're doing, that you maybe you'd wish you'd known that ahead of time, or you would have been ahead of the curve?
Sure. If
you were starting over, what do you wish you'd realized?
I probably have completely different things than Niko has.
It's okay.
Perfect.
So I'll go first.
Yeah.
But one, I wish I would have took a photography class before I decided that I was going to jump into photography. And two, I wish we would have made a business plan and like had more of a plan on what we were going to do with our business instead of just jumping in with the sharks and like, hey, we're going to do this. Like, there's no plan. Let's go.
Let's just go day by day.
Yeah. Because like when we first started, I worked with cell phones for 5 years and I really just wasn't happy. And when Niko told me this idea, I was like, okay, well, we're going to do it. I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. Let's go. Like, and that's what we did. And it was scary, but I'm kind of glad we did it. But at the same time, I wish we would have planned it out a lot better.
Yeah.
So,
is there ever enough planning though when it comes right down to it? It's like, yeah, I know. I'm not so well of a planner, or at least putting it on paper. Like I'm kind of a jump ship guy and like, now go do this. So I agree. I think sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I could have, I should have been more organized about this. But what about for you, Niko? What do you think, what do you think you wish you'd have, is there something you would, if you could go back and wish you'd have known it ahead of time, what about this aspect of your business?
Yeah. I feel like, when we jumped into it, I feel like that was almost, I mean, of course, planning is great, right? Because if you don't plan, you can plan on failing is what they like to say. But
who?
But then
I've heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard
I was like, who says this?
Yes. Something about fail to plan and plan on failing.
Yeah, but sometimes
I don't know who said that.
We're not when we jumped into it. It was more of like that grit. We needed to make it happen, so we made it happen somehow. And then now we're better a bit about planning and stuff. But I guess learning more about like our industry, and now we're more specifically like in the wedding industry. But before, and we still are very much more consumer oriented. Mm-hmm. So we think about like the end consumer and like the couple, in this case, bride and groom. But in the wedding industry, there's just a lot more moving pieces. There's a lot of people that we didn't really think about before. Those people are like the other vendors and like the venues and stuff, because those people are really the ones that will flow the referrals down to you.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works. It's the first, you get the venue, and I guess building those connections with the venues first, because we're always so focused on the bride and groom and couple and them booking us, and that's really who's going to pay for the wedding and everything. But if in hindsight, I wish I would have known more about all the other parts,
making those relationships. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of marketing right to the bride and groom, you're saying like,
Expand
wow,
that.
they're going to go and get a venue first. And it would just make it easier if that venue was like, hey, who do you got for a photographer?
Exactly.
Or
Like,
who do you recommend? Or who have you
'cause
seen?
We like these people walking around here and doing stuff with, at our place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's pretty smart. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah. So like now, like Niko and I were just talking about this, and we're gonna print out canvases and we're gonna go take them to like our venues that we went to this year, just to be like, hey, we appreciate you, we love you, here you go. So yeah, I agree with that too, Niko. I wish we would have like kind of thought about that beforehand.
That's interesting.
And then hopefully in the future, our goal is to have a venue of our own.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to be the biggest venue in town, probably. Maybe it will be. Who knows? But hopefully it would be cool to have something like that for people to have the opportunity to have that. But yeah, that's one thing.
I think that's
an amazing idea.
I think that's a really good idea. We actually went to a friend of mine's wedding down in Florida, and there was a nice little wedding venue there that we went to, and it was not really huge, was it?
No.
It was a very small, tucked into this little
off the lake in Florida, lots
tiny,
of flowers and
just they had it all set up really nice, and it was not a big lot, but there was enough room there was a covered area, and they had big tables, and they had all that set up, and they had
a little little house, like a tiny home for like the bride area and people to get ready. And
it looked like they just converted a regular home into a wedding venue. And
the yard.
Now that you bring that up, I'm like, oh, that's basically just what they did, was to create this cozy little spot with good scenery and good places to take pictures. And
yeah, that would be cool.
And to be able to control that, not have to take your gear around to different things and set up and be like, oh, this is, we have power over here and we have all this in one spot.
Yep.
Yeah. Since we're doing like the video stuff, a lot of people say like, it makes it easier if there's anything that we can do in the process to make it easier for people for their wedding. That way, if they don't have to communicate through 3 different vendors or do 3 different deposits or do, 3 different payment plans or whatever, if we can take care of it all and then simplify the process for them, then that's how we would bring value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's really cool. I think it's honestly, through our business here, I've kind of started to develop a real interest in photography, videography, and honestly, really cool. I tell April all the time, I'm like, if this burrito thing don't work out,
I love
Let's go take some photos.
Some weeks are highs, some are lows. You know what I mean?
No, emotions are like your emotions are all over the place.
Oh yeah,
for
sure.
Up one week, down the next week.
Yep.
I know, but I do. I look at you guys and I'm like, man, how would that be? Like, they're not doing like shoots at midnight, I don't think, and like, I don't got to be to work at like midnight. Not that what you don't do isn't hard.
Right.
But I know it is.
Looking at the hours.
Yeah.
I'm
looking at the hours. And I'm like, if this burrito thing don't work out, we're gonna be like 407 memories or something.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. So don't be too afraid. But we're not going anywhere. But
your knowledge on photography, for not really knowing, doing like a class or like really much, like you do really, really good.
Thank you.
Think it's really cool that you do that. And a lot of people like think that if you're a photographer and there's another photographer, there's competition, but I just like cheer on everyone because like everyone has
you have your
style.
own artistic styles and abilities and different ways that you do things that everybody
I find it is perspective, like what you said earlier. You could look at it like you're in competition with everybody.
Yep.
And that's a hard life to live. Always that.
And I've been there, and it sucks. It's not good.
When we first started.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You feel like everyone's going to take from you.
Yep.
When in reality,
there's so much excess out there.
Exactly.
There's no like
for everyone.
I honestly, I try to welcome like new food trucks and whatever. I'm like, if I can help elevate this food truck, they're going to maybe elevate us. We're all going to elevate together. Nobody's going to eat at my place every single day, all the meals. I'm not competing for that. Like, we just need to do what we do best we can and whatever. And there's no limit on success around here. I wish more people would look at it that way, because we could all be working together to elevate and progress together. Yeah.
And if you're so worried about what everybody else is doing, you're not paying enough attention to your own business. So that's wherein lies the issue.
Say that louder for the people in the back.
You can't be worrying about everybody else, or you're not paying attention to your own.
You're wasting time at that point.
Yeah. I also, my daughter Alex asked me the other day, she just started this little Etsy store, and she's and she's like, she's making like planners and things that you can, like a PDF files that you can just download, and she creates planner schedules. She made my little podcast plan. I've been practicing with it, and it's my little and it's working. And as I've been using it, I've been like sending her like, hey, you know what I could use is this on here. Or I could use this on here, or whatever. Anyway, she brought that up. She was like, do I even go look at other people's Etsy stores, or like, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to be stealing from anybody, or I don't want to, I don't know. I just don't even want to go see what anybody else is doing. And I said, Alex, you're looking at this wrong. Like, go see what other people are doing. I said, but don't do it. You're not in competition with these people. You're not in competition, but you got to also be aware of what's out there, and be aware of what's out there
and what people want.
Find inspiration from it.
Yep.
I look at your content and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to copy what they're doing. I'm going to do my version if I were to take a photo of that, but I find inspiration in something, or I learn lessons in what somebody like you is putting out there, or like I say, I go look at other photographers and I'm like, holy cow, like, okay, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And, whatever, but I don't know. I guess it's in perspective. It's not about whether they're better at it than I am or not, or whatever the thing is in life. I think it's okay to look at people, but keep the right perspective.
Yep.
And there's no lack of success out there.
Especially
we learn from each other.
Especially if you're just starting out. Because if you're just starting out, you need, I've always been like that. Before you master it, you need to emulate something, right? Or to make your own version of something, you need to, like you said, draw inspiration from it and then do something. But doing that to draw inspiration is great, and you just can't get stuck on it, right? Like you said, like the perspective, you can't get stuck on it, like, or they're just keep comparing yourself, like, or they might be better than me, or their numbers look better than me, or whatnot. But yeah, always looking at other people.
If anything, it's just something to give you direction. Like, this is where I need to be working toward. You can always kind of change that and refine that. But I agree with you. Find something to kind of to emulate in a way that's not really taking directly from them, but inspiration and giving you ideas about how you could do your version of that.
Correct.
And we're all consumers. Yeah. So we all want to get our photographs taken. We all want to go out to eat. We all know what we like. We know all those things. So I think looking at it as a consumer perspective too, that helps huge. All the time I look at things, I'm like, okay, well, this is what I would like. This is what I would want, so that helps me out in my day-to-day on things.
That's exactly how Niko and I are. Like me, I love shopping. I love being a consumer. So whenever we create an idea, that's exactly how I am. I'm like, but what about on the consumer side? How would they feel? What would that look like?
Yeah, what would you want if you were out shopping for that or wanting that? What would you want? What are the little details that you would want added? And
exactly.
So,
Yes, and that's what Kayla's great at. Kayla's great at helping us out with the like back end stuff and like systems and stuff. Because I struggle with that sometimes because my brain goes all over the place, and then Kayla's really good at like, well, what is what are they going to be seeing when they first book with us, or how is the consultations going to work, or like the scheduling, and they're going to get reminders and all this stuff. So that really
all those little fine details that you just don't think of unless you are actually the one consumer wanting that.
Exactly.
No, that's good. That's good that you guys have those differences, because if you guys were both the same, it kind of probably wouldn't work.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, that's awesome that you kind of bring some organization, or you bring some focus on something, and that's not what you're maybe the strongest at or something. But
exactly. And that's going back to what you said, like, you have to start. I mean, I love to think about like SWOT analysis. It's like the SWOT, like as a business, the concept that I learned is like SWOT analysis. So it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you identify your strengths, you know, where you're good at. You identify your weaknesses and kind of what you know that you're not the best at, and you get help in those areas. Then you see the opportunities, you know, where you may be able to grow the food truck or the business. And then the threats, you know, if there's new food trucks coming in, or if there's new photographers coming in, then those may be threats. But how do you deal with those threats, and how do you deal with those opportunities? And then assess those strengths and weaknesses. And that's how I like to think about it when I think about like competition or anything else, and then get that positive perspective of like, you know, there's so much in the world and in this country, and there's enough for everyone. So even if there's so many competitors, just have to focus on what you do and what you do best, like you said.
that's awesome. I hadn't heard that, but now I'm going to try to I'm going to remember it, because I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to like jot that down later, because
I've never heard that either. That's
yeah,
great.
no, that is good. I like that. I tend to look at it like, if you're not trying to put yourself out of business, somebody else will do it for you. So instead of like looking at it as a threat, I look at it like the only threat we have is our own complacency and our own inability to change and to get better and to grow. And when you stop doing that, when you get comfortable, which it's in our business, it's pretty easy to get comfortable, like, oh, you know, just keep putting out a breakfast burrito. But we try to come up with, you know, new things. We try to keep innovating.
Burnout factor of not changing and not growing and coming out with new things is huge.
But and if you don't adapt, if you don't try to put yourself out of business, in other words, coming up with like how, like the ideas that another business is going to come along with, that those ideas that are going to put you out of business, come up with those ideas yourself. And put yourself out of business in what you're currently doing, and develop to the next level. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense, because I think Niko and I think about, like, we're exactly the same way. We're like, okay, well, we got this down, so now we're going to, like, do something different. So,
yeah, exactly. I look at it like, people say to me, oh, you know, so-and-so's doing a breakfast burrito, or so-and-so's doing this or that, or, you know, somebody in Billings is doing this or that. I'm like, if they can put us out of business, we didn't deserve to be in business. I don't even care. Like, I'm just going to keep on trying to innovate. I'm going to try to come up with new sauces or new flavors.
And that's where it comes to paying attention to your own business and not everybody else.
Like, I agree with that.
True. Absolutely.
There's definitely trends, though, that I know that in photography and videography, and even in the DJ business, and I want to get into that too. What are you seeing, though, that, like, yeah, we don't want to focus on somebody else's business so much that we're not really focusing on our own, but you do have to be up with what's trending out there. And are you seeing trends in wedding shots that people want? Are you seeing trends in other photography needs that clients are wanting? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I mean, there's always it seems like there's always new trends, like in terms of like style and stuff. And when we first really were getting into the wedding photography, it seemed like the one that was really popular was the light and airy look. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Like,
I do.
Super bright photos that like
super light greens, bright and
that was really popular when like 2019. And now after the pandemic, it seems like that wasn't as popular as much.
Moving away.
And then so with the problem when you start like, and we're all about looking at those trends and trying to get the best out of them. But when you fall into that, then it's like, then it's tough, because then you have to adjust to the next trend and the next trend, right? So what we've tried to do a little bit more is try to hone into like our style and what we really love doing, and try to maintain some sort of consistency and up our level on that.
No, and that's smart too.
Yeah, so that's what we've in terms of the trends. That's what we see. Like, you may see like some, like this last year was the dark and moody. So now it was like more like darker tones, like earth tones, more for like in the couple world. I guess we've seen like the elopement photography and stuff like that. Very much darker edits and stuff like that that were more popular. At least that's what it seemed on Instagram.
I'm also going to highlight on the fact that I feel like a lot of wedding photography that we see is a lot of natural light. So that means like you don't bring any of the studio lights or anything. It's all natural light photography. And Niko and I want to be pros in both natural photography, light photography and weddings, plus like having the studio lights and stuff too. Like we've been bringing our huge, like you guys have one when we were doing our photo out there. We like to take that outside, and we're trying to like make our own trend, I guess if you'll say, instead of being stuck, like Niko was saying, in all these other trends and trying to keep up with them, because then it feels like we're behind, if that makes sense.
No, it does 100%. I think it's smart to develop a style. I think something that you're known for, it's almost a branding move. Like when somebody wants this, like they can come to you for that.
Right.
There's power in that for sure.
Yeah, it's taken a while, but yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I get that. Like I see that with our own branding. I'm trying to figure some things out. Sometimes it's changing, and I have to adapt it or whatever. So I'm glad that you said it like that, because that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm not trying to be good at everything. I'm just trying to like define. Okay, I'm good at this. Get known for this, and whatever. Is it the same way though, or what do you think about what's going on in like DJ? Like, what are people's needs when they're wanting music at an event?
Yeah, with that, I think we are seeing some different trends, and I like to see like the East Coast is doing, what like the West Coast is doing, kind of those markets that are more mature in that regard. So that's a good word for it. More mature.
Yeah, that's great.
In like the industry, because we see like what I've always wanted to bring for weddings is that I've always told Kayla, it's the crazy hour, or the hora loca, which is like you bring like 2 or 3 entertainers and then pump up the whole crowd with like jewelry, some like light up sticks, LED sticks, things like that, or they can be in stilts or things like that, or in like robot costumes. That sounds pretty cheesy, but it actually looks kind of cool. So things like that they come for an hour and pump up the whole crowd so they don't leave for the bars, and then just leave the whole party, and then people can stay there at the wedding and
kind of gets them warmed up. And
I mean, those are trends that we've seen elsewhere that we want to bring, and those are the type of things that we want to innovate on for it to be different and not just the same boring wedding playlist that every single DJ plays. That it's just like, oh my God, what song's playing next, and then so like we don't
an 8th
want
grade
that.
Dance.
Yeah,
exactly. So we try to do the opposite, and almost like after all the traditional stuff has happened, turn it into more of like a party, real reception, not just a.
Do you find though that clients keep asking for that same playlist? Do you find that people are like, do they go to the same type of songs? Do they go to the same type of needs or whatever?
Honestly, I think people are tired of hearing all of the same songs when at weddings. Yeah, and they're like, we want something different.
Okay.
We want something ourselves. And I think that's something that Niko's really good at, is he has his like typical songs he plays like at the very beginning, but then towards the end of the night, he makes it more for the couple and like something that they'll remember, and it highlights on them instead of doing the same thing every single time.
That everybody else likes instead of like what the couple wants.
Yep, exactly.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, having those classics is definitely needed to start off with, because you don't want everyone from 40 and up to just get off their tables and leave and stuff, which is hard. But yeah, having that balance is important.
I find all this fascinating, because it's like good. It's all like different sides of people's businesses that you don't really think about. Like like all the time we're like we get requests from people, or people ask us to do something, and we like, number one, that they're thinking of us, but a lot of times we're like, they have no clue of what we're going through here to do what we got to do. Yes. And that's not their fault. Either we haven't communicated that very well, or they just don't get it, and that's fine too. So whatever. But I'm always interested, like now when I go to a place and I'm like, before I start to complain about something, or I'm like, why are they doing this like this around here? I'm like, now I'm trying to think about, what is it in behind this business that I don't realize that makes this difficult? And it's not going so smooth right here. For me, I feel it's not so smooth for me, but what is it that, that's going on behind the scenes?
Right. Yeah. Being a business owner, you think about that way. You become more forgiving, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm way more forgiving.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
In some ways, we're more forgiving, and in some ways, we're not, right?
Right.
Because we go to places, and I'm like, holy cow. Like,
what is going on here?
Why don't they have, how are they doing this? Or, why are they, some things I would say it's probably made us a little more critical. But,
yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
I guess there's a healthy balance there.
Yeah.
Because then we also know, hey, there's no excuse for this. Like, this you should take care of.
Right. Because
in some ways.
You would not do ever.
Right. But we don't know everybody's challenges. Who knows?
Right.
No.
Exactly. But, yeah, can you guys, I'm sure you guys talk a lot about this, but can you tell us about what's going on with you guys that's new?
Well, yeah. Our focus this year is online sales, is sauce.
Ooh, yeah.
So
that's a whole new realm.
It is.
You guys have been doing.
I love it though. That's so cool.
Yeah. I've
been so excited to try that sauce.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Well, good deal.
I'm stoked for it too, actually.
Yeah, we're sending you home with some. So I want to get your take on it, and we're starting to put out more content about foods that go well with our sauces, things like that. One thing that we realized about this pandemic is the vulnerabilities in our business. When all of a sudden we're like, okay, one thing we lucked out about is that, okay, for a little while there, they're just like, you can't have anybody indoors. You can only do takeout. We're like, well, all we are is takeout. And whereas all we wanted to do was get indoors, now our liability has become our strength.
But that's true.
But there's other vulnerabilities that this past year that have kind of opened up, and that is hiring is a problem for everybody.
We have a struggle with that.
We have a struggle with that hard too.
Hiring is a problem. Getting ingredients, getting food is a problem. Some
and it's
things like
way
that.
more expensive.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
All going up. Yes. There's very little profit margin in food in general. In the restaurant industry, there's not a lot of profit margin. People don't want to spend a lot of money for food, and they especially don't want to spend a lot of money on breakfast. So there's not a lot of profit margin there. So there's those challenges and those vulnerabilities have come out where our food prices keep going up, and we're trying to not raise our own prices onto people and all those types of problems. But we realized then, we're like, you know what, when they're doing shutdowns in the country and when people are going more online to buy things, we don't have an online presence to where we have a product that we can put out there. So what can we do for somebody online? And for years, we've thrown around the idea of, let's get a sauce company going, or let's get our sauce bottled. And so we tried to contact a bunch of different companies. We got turned down by like 10 companies that said, either the small batch people were like, hey, we can't get ingredients and we can't keep employees, so we're not taking on any new clients. We can't bottle your sauce. Or the alternative was the huge companies that they were like, you need to buy 3-4 times the amount that you're asking for. And we're like, we thought that was a lot of bottles of sauce to order from you. And they're like, yeah, that's not a lot of bottles. So you need to up that. So we're like, well, we're not at that level. So now
too crazy.
Yeah. So we're kind of stuck where we're like, I don't know. So it's been redefining ourselves as a sauce company and backing off. We didn't have to let anybody go. There was some natural attrition that kind of happened. We didn't have to let anybody go, but we were like, when people did leave, we were like, oh, let's not rehire. Let's not play the rehiring game. Let's figure out how to bottle sauce on our own. And it's like kind of starting another business.
Yeah.
It's all just there's a whole nother side of it. Just barcodes was an education on barcodes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
bottling stuff.
And we bottle our own. We had to figure that out. Like, how do you bottle something that's shelf stable? Like, how does that work? How do you seal things? How do you whatever? And we had to really just kind of buckle down and just start learning that. We've figured that out.
That's really cool.
We brought on a graphic designer who helped us with a label. and we've been starting to bottle it ourselves.
Looks badass.
I think
thank
it looks
you.
awesome. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
cool.
We were hoping it would
I would
just
like be Vanna White, like showing it right now, but
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, maybe I could get it for you.
Oh, Niko, don't leave. It's okay.
Is that okay?
Oh yeah. We'll show off the sauce.
Show off the sauce.
Yeah, we always look for opportunities to show off the sauce.
Yeah,
but
I love it.
yeah, that's kind of our focus this year but it's also trying to not turn, or not be forgetful or how do you call it, complacent about our original business here at the Breakfast Burrito business. It's how do we develop another business, and how do we do that without being complacent in the Breakfast Burrito business?
Yeah. Oh,
So-
hey, I could be Vanna White now.
Yes, I love the Vanna White reference.
Actually, the plastic feels like glass. That's why I kept touching
It's
it.
like thick, hard.
It's
Yeah.
a thick
Stuff.
glass, yeah.
Look, yay! Which one's this one? Oh, this is the
Oh,
jalapeno.
you have to go a little higher up by your cheek.
Oh,
Yeah, there it is.
That's
Oh,
really cool.
there it is.
So you guys made the three. You guys have the classic, the habanero, and the
classic.
jalapeno.
And the
right?
classic is the one that you put in the burrito, like your original burrito, right?
So we do both. We do the classic and the jalapeno.
That's the
Are
one I
in.
tried the jalapeno one.
Habanero.
I can't wait to try the habanero one.
So
That's
my
one's
favorite
my
pepper.
favorite.
So, what are like some good foods other than breakfast burritos that we could put these on that you suggest?
Well, we made a list yesterday of like 35.
Burgers is
Hell
my
yeah.
favorite.
Ooh.
So it's kind of like your In-N-Out style burger.
Oh.
So make a burger. That's my
Ooh.
favorite.
Yeah,
So good.
burgers are really
Now-
good. When we were doing lunches, this was the sauce we put on our burgers. And when we have burger days, we have a tremendous turnout for burgers. And this is the sauce that we put on those. But there's a lot of different things. Trish, who works with us, she made were they fish tacos that she made?
Mhm. Yep.
Mm.
They're fish
Ooh.
tacos, and she made a coleslaw out of the
The
habanero sauce.
Oh.
And used that as the sauce that she mixed with
Mhm.
the cabbage, and she put that onto fish tacos.
Wow.
Ooh. That
Fries
really
sounds really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
Fries.
Because your burritos have like the fries that are fried, right?
yeah,
The potatoes that are fried.
yeah. Yep, and that's we do. We put them through a fry press, and we call them hash browns at that hour. We're like, they're hash browns. If anybody says fries, we're
Really
like,
good.
No.
It's so good.
but yeah, we've had people send us stuff where they're putting it on their grilled salmon. I had somebody in
Ooh,
Washington
grilled-
send me a photo the other day where they're putting it on. They're dipping. They bought sushi and they dipping sushi in it,
Like
and
a
it's a lot.
yum-yum
It's
sauce.
like a yum sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's things that we haven't tried that people are sending to us, which we love that,
Yeah.
and we're starting to kind of. We're actually building our TikTok content around
Yeah.
things that you can put this
Hell yeah.
sauce on.
My son puts it on everything. Corn dogs, pizza,
Oh, yeah, that's
chicken
cute.
nuggets.
Yeah.
a-
Everything.
anything.
That's so
Anything
cool.
you can dip, something that pizza rolls, whatever he can
Oh,
dip.
yay.
Yeah, he uses that.
Cute. As business owners, here's a question for you because this is something that I've been working on really hard. Do you guys get overwhelmed with all the social media content that you have to create for your businesses?
120%.
Like it's crazy. Like
It's a full-time job.
and especially since you guys are gonna have two now, right? You're gonna have your big fat lunchbox, and then now you're gonna have your sauces. Now you gotta focus on two. Niko and I are like that. I have to focus on my Boudoir one, and then I have to focus on 406 Memories, and it's just so much, and like constantly having to think about it. Like I feel like you have to be like a film person at some point because you have to constantly think about all of these things.
Yeah.
To make sense and to keep the consistency. And I don't know. I just want to talk about that with you guys.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It
lot.
really is.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a lot. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time we're telling ourselves, look, we can only do what we can do. We have to
Right.
remind ourselves that,
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
We remind ourselves we're only two people. We only can do, so much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Run the business, the burritos, make the burritos, clean,
Mhm.
cook, do the sauce, bottle, ship, and
Yeah.
all the content. So yeah, we're just two people. So
I think, though, we look for opportunities to create multiple pieces of content out of one.
Right. That's smart.
Like this right here, we sit down, we'll just let it go. There's going to be things, though, that I'm going to go back through here, and I'm going to be like, this was an interesting 5-minute or 8-minute segment here.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to post that to Facebook. And Facebook does not like to share videos anymore.
Oh, no. Yeah. No.
You get zero to very little exposure on that. But we do have people that go back through our content. So it's not getting wide appeal, but we do have people that all of a sudden deep dive on us, and they start going through, and they're like, wow, these people have all kinds of content. We get this. We get people going through that. But just being able to do one piece of content that we can then put onto several different platforms. And we're trying to get more of where we don't put the same content on every platform. Right. That's difficult because you're right. It gets super overwhelming.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I wish I almost need to come up with something like this, a little planner where we can say, okay, this is the content we need to put out to at least have a presence out there, and schedule it, know that that's what has to be done, and just stick to it, and just, I don't know, just get organized about it.
Yeah.
We're spending our weekends, at least one day of our weekend, we are cooking food. We got a big light in the kitchen, and we're shooting TikToks now. We haven't done TikToks because we have been overwhelmed.
Right,
We've been building this place. I spent a lot of weekends building this or researching how to bottle sauce and how to do barcodes and all of this stuff has been, we feel super behind. Everybody else has been killing it out there in a lot of areas, I feel, and we're behind. When it comes to a lot of those things.
I don't think you are, but I understand your feeling on how you feel.
Feeling,
like, it's like Niko and I take 2 days off and we're like, oh my God, we missed so much. When really,
Yeah. So I guess in that way, we just try not to beat ourselves up too much.
That's
we
good.
do what we can do, and we look for opportunities where we can create something that we can share in different places.
Yeah, you guys do great. You guys have such a large audience in it, but recycling that content too, because sometimes I don't think about that. Like, I mean, something that you posted 5 months ago, for example, that was a great thing. You could reword it or something and post it again.
Yeah.
But you think because you already posted it that you shouldn't post it again.
Well, and they don't show things. So like all the time I see, for instance, like on Facebook videos that you're watching, you'll see these influencers and these people repost stuff from 6 months ago because the algorithms and how it got shown and stuff. So
you're right.
Yeah, they are. And like TikTok, for instance, which I've been studying for a long time.
Yeah.
They finally, pulled that. But they might not show your video at first, but 6 months later, they might throw it on your For You page, and all of a sudden you have 10,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
So don't delete. And it's just
crazy.
Yeah.
TikTok is something new that we've been trying to do too. And, I felt that was the first time I felt old. Like, I opened up TikTok and I'm like, what is this world? Like, what is this? And I got instantly overwhelmed, and I put it aside for months because I was like, this is too much. I'm not doing it. And then now, like, Niko's like, nope, Kayla, we're doing this. We're going to figure it out. So we've been like dabbling in it too.
So much TikTok.
I'm sure.
I can't even tell you. Like, if I were to look at the hours I've spent on TikTok, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I know it pretty inside now.
That's
like,
good.
There's not a lot I don't know about it.
But at a certain point, though, that becomes a pressure. Yeah. There was a certain point where April was like, she knows so much, but she all of a sudden can't pull the trigger now because it has to be just right.
You had to your first 5 videos. That's what they do your whole account on, and they have to do this and that, and then I was just like, oh my gosh, it has to be perfect. And then I was
Yep.
So, but anyways, it's not perfect, but there's some stuff getting out there.
That's good. I'm happy for you guys.
I think the other thing we've been doing a little bit more now is splitting up our efforts. Whereas I typically do a lot of the content production, April has actually been stepping up on like the TikTok side of things, to where we shoot things together, but then she edits them and uploads them. So I'm not always doing the editing now. Like that's typically what I do, is I do I do all the shooting and editing, but now as we bring on another platform, it's kind of becoming her game. Like,
yep.
She just kind of she
cool.
knows TikTok, and she's been figuring it all out, and
that's awesome.
And that has helped me out.
Yeah.
And probably stresses you out more, but
no, honestly, I don't mind that. I don't mind doing those TikToks. Good. Like it doesn't bother me. Yeah, there's some time and some thinking and watching them, and TikTok's big on the transitions, and food you can do some transitions with, but I mean, there's only so much you can do. Right. I mean, but there's a lot of creativity to it. So it's just, and TikTok's trends. Like, and those trends go fast.
Right, yeah,
So
that's
like
crazy.
1 week.
And so
then the
one
next-
song's trending, and that's the song you want to use, and then the next week, all of a sudden, that's out.
Yep.
And so TikTok trends go
it's
really,
cringy
really,
if you
really
use
fast.
That song like, the next week.
So
Oh, that's so funny.
yeah, so that's
love it.
So you're continually having to watch TikTok,
Yep.
so you know what the trends are.
Huh.
Like you can't stop watching it because you're not going to know what the trends are.
Right.
You know what though? But I think yeah, the trends are that's how you also get a lot of exposure. But I think there is something to be said for defining what your style is.
Yeah, and it's
and
just
sticking with
being-
that, like what
Yep.
you were saying about how we're not going to try to keep up with what everybody else is doing in the trends of this and that. We're going to define our style and whatever. And I think there's something to be said for that, like coming up with your own format or your own thing that you do, that you're not having to create a completely individual new piece of content. You just do variations on your content, like, or maybe your thing is just cool snapshots of your photo shoots, taking your photo shoots and like.
Yeah, but that would only go so far.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to always keep creating and keep
Yeah.
innovating, and always then you need experts like April to
Yeah.
research all the stuff that's happening. But yeah, absolutely. I think a balance of that too, and then because we can't show up as like start doing all the dances that people do and stuff. That
yeah.
then,
Oh man,
then people will hate us, and
Yeah.
it's just not authentic. It's not
right.
us.
I'm right there
those
with
TikTok dances. Oh, I couldn't imagine doing any of
I-
those, but they are.
I
They're the
really don't
thing.
foresee any time April and I are doing
You
any
have to
form
do
of
one, and then the burrito pops up. The transition. That's
It
what I
would
was.
be so silly and unnatural.
Yeah.
that I couldn't even imagine. Oh,
It,
So
the
funny.
only way we could do it is if we were literally just like beyond silly.
And
Like,
making fun of it.
Yep.
yeah, like I would have to, like we have these tortilla blankets. Like
Oh,
the only way I
cute.
can do the dance is if I was completely wrapped up in a tortilla blanket, going through the motions or something. I don't know, but I just don't see it. Like that's just not us.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
exactly.
I'm not getting on the TikTok dance.
No, that's fine.
Honestly,
And if you
said.
start doing that, then it's like, then that's when you start following the trends and stuff.
And you're not authentic to what you're
Yep.
doing. You're
Exactly.
just jumping on the next train of
Yep,
bandwagon, I guess. is the
exactly.
old
Yes.
Yep.
term.
Yeah, I get that.
So I'll have to follow you guys on TikTok and keep sharing your content and stuff. TikTok's the one for me where we're just like pretty much Kayla is taking over pretty much like what you said, and I'm
No, with TikTok.
I'm just creating the content, try to create the content, but I don't spend that much time on TikTok as much as I should.
Well, and I was looking at the Facebook Reels. Well, TikTok videos, are minutes, and then you can get up to 3 minutes and do lives, and so you advanced. The more you do, they advance you to different levels. Well, I was just on Facebook, but their reels are 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So you have to like do something totally different, which is fine. I have this little editing for all the different platforms, but to go in there and do a 30-second video for this one and do a minute one
It's
for this
learning
one
everybody's
and
rules and about what
the
they do.
algorithms and
Yep. It's
Yep.
but
We were just talking about that.
I can
What if
do
you use a
30-second
song?
minute videos like
Yeah,
that's like I can throw something together like that. Anything longer and I'm out.
you're like,
That's
well,
not my gig.
yeah, I did my first TikTok, I don't know, a few weeks ago. It took me an hour to do because like of just trying to learn everything. So the fact that you're like doing that, I think it's really smart that you shoot it and you do it because then you're just like so much quicker and you can throw it together
Yeah.
fast. Where I bet if Milo did it, it would take him a lot longer because he's not used to doing the whole editing and everything. So
Yeah, I will shoot something together and then I'll be like, boom, I send it over to her and I'm like, here, you're good? Because I'm going to run to the shop and I've got to I got to set
I
some
just
lighting.
sat on my bed yesterday and did it all and
Yay!
on my
Next
iPad
Sunday,
and
yeah.
like perfect.
It
cup
does
of
help.
tea.
Yeah, divide up our efforts. And
And the TikToks you have to plan though, right? You have to
Oh,
plan 'em out.
yeah.
Yeah.
we do, yeah.
And the shots, and especially like with the food. Okay, so how are we going to do this? And I want to loop the video, so I got to do this and then split it and the shots you want to get for each thing. Like, okay, how complex? Because you got a minute. So how are you going to do
Yeah,
a
I mean,
food?
all together on, we'll put out a 30-second to 1 minute TikTok and
It's 2 to 3 hours.
of just shooting it.
Yeah, 3 to 4 hours. of
And then the
shooting
editing it. And then the editing it.
And the editing's
Yeah,
probably a couple hours.
I mean, we
would say.
probably put 8 hours into a TikTok.
That makes sense, man. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 minute video of a TikTok.
And
you would think like I put 8 hours on one piece of content. If you told me that 10 years ago, I think people would be laughing.
Yeah.
So like 8 hours in one piece of content.
That's going to be good for what? 3 days?
Maybe. Even. I mean, I think that's what consumers don't understand, like what us business owners have to do and how much time it takes us to do those things. Like, they don't get it.
People aren't watching TV. You're not hiring a commercial company to come do a commercial for you.
Exactly. Yep. You do it all yourself now. But
But yeah, we have to bring the same level of entertainment.
Yeah.
Yep.
The same, with not that same budget, but people kind of expect that for it to.
Time is our budget. We put a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know, though, I find it's also like, you know what, if TikTok isn't your thing and if you can't fit it in, don't fit it in.
It's kind of what I've been thinking lately. I'm like,
you know, like it's not the end of the world there. Like there's other platforms, like whatever your thing is, like be good at that thing. And I don't think, you know, there's people out there that are really huge on TikTok, but they're not huge on other platforms, or they're huge on Instagram and they're not huge on, or they're good at YouTube. Or we're trying to kind of get our YouTube going, because I hear a lot of people saying, you know what, there's a lot of apps that come and go and this gets big for a while, whatever, but one solid thing is YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, like maybe that's okay. Like, let's just put out a lot of content, put it on YouTube. And like, we don't even have any following at all on YouTube. But there's not a lot of content there. We got to kind of prove ourselves to YouTube that we put out content. So it's going to take us a while
to build it out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to worry about it for another 2 years, you know? Like, who cares? Just put stuff out there on it.
Yes.
Yep.
It's true.
I don't know. So I feel like we all get sucked into this trap of trying to be the best on all these things and keep up. And I don't know. It's not real. Like, we just got to do what we can do. And
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, YouTube would be perfect for the type of content that you do. But yeah, you're right. Trying to keep up to everything is
just impossible. Unless you hire people, like you hire someone just to do TikTok, hire someone just to do your Instagram. Like, it's the only other thing that I could think.
You know, honestly, when I just thinking about you, like how many, I see tons of photography and videography tutorials on YouTube, right? How many of them are in Spanish?
Oh.
I mean, there's got to be some, but yeah, most of them are probably in English.
I mean, how many people are in South America? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people can get on YouTube all over the world, and like, who's making content for those people?
True.
I was telling this to Connor. I was like, I said, man, you should be doing, you know, I was always telling him, like, do something in Spanish, you know, that there's a lot of people doing this here in, you know, in English or whatever, but I would imagine you could build a huge business off of those followers, because people are like, oh, look at this white kid in Montana who's speaking Spanish doing reggaeton reaction videos. You know,
my gosh, that's a good idea.
I was like, do reggaeton reaction videos. Like, I find reaction guys sometimes, I'm like, why am I watching this guy all the time? But I love to see how this guy reacts to certain things. I love it. And anyway, so
he's so entertaining to watch too.
Yeah.
So I think that would be good.
Yeah, he's just kind of like looking at me like, he just doesn't he's like, I don't think that's me. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. But for a guy like you, for a couple like you, like to be able to shoot like, hey, like we don't have a shoot out there today, but why don't we show people how we do this and teach other people? I don't know. That's a good idea. That's a way to build a YouTube channel is we're going to do this, but we're going to do it in Spanish.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right.
Yeah. That's a really
because there's so many people out there and they're trying to figure it all out too, but who's all doing that for, I mean, I guarantee you there's people out there doing it, but
yes,
it's probably not as saturated as
it's a way more.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Even if it's just reaction videos.
Yeah.
You know, in Spanish. Like, I don't know.
It's a great idea.
We were just talking actually on the way here. We're like, how are we going to grow our business? Because sometimes we feel we're just kind of like at a flat level, right? We always come up with ideas on what we're going to do new, but we're like, how are we going to grow our business? Like, what are we going to do to take that next step? And we were just talking about how like, maybe we should do YouTube videos. Maybe we should teach people how to do like what we do and stuff. So that's really interesting that you said that.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating what you said about creating relationships with the venues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put a video out that talks about that. Put it out in English. Put it out in Spanish. Create 2 playlists on your channel, and one channel that has your English side and maybe you even just shoot and use the same video, but you just dub over the second language and put it out as 2 separate videos.
It's a good idea.
I don't know.
That is a great idea.
Look at Milo coming up for ideas for us. Thanks, Milo.
Have a good idea.
Hey, I try to get ideas from other people.
Yeah, no, I love
the things that you guys are doing. I'm constantly thinking like, oh, how do we think more like that, or how do we work that in? Like, and that's honestly that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah,
like,
I love it.
I don't know that anybody's ever going to listen to this, but I get a chance to sit down with people.
Yeah,
and we get to learn from you and
collaborate together.
So
you guys are awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you again for inviting us.
Yes. Thank you guys for coming and visiting with us.
It's been awesome.
We'll have to do another follow-up with you at some point and see how you guys are doing, how you're growing, and
your level upping.
Oh, we didn't talk about how we won Billings Best on the podcast. We should totally talk about that, but it's okay. We won. Yay.
No, you did. I'm glad you brought that up. It was the Gazette.
Yeah.
That was awesome. It was the Readers Choice.
Yes.
2021.
Yeah.
For what was the category? Best photographer?
Wedding photographer.
Wedding photographer.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Cool.
We were nominated for all 3. So what happens is that, at the beginning, people have to nominate for the top 5 people in that category.
Okay.
So we were nominated for all 3 photography categories, so wedding photography, portrait photography, and children photography, but we won the wedding.
Well,
that's awesome.
Well, congratulations.
Nico's super humble, but I wanted to talk about it.
No, I'm glad you brought it up. Because I did think about it, and I meant to bring it up earlier.
No, it's all good.
Because
I'm super proud of us.
Yeah,
so
it really
I think
has
that's
helped
why.
our business.
And that's interesting too. Does it has that fact? Did that bring attention to you? Have you seen more business come to you because of that?
I think I personally think, being again on the consumer side of everything, I knew what that award meant even before we were a business, and I instantly
it's all about the
trust.
attention.
Yep. I also instantly gave trust to that business who won it. So I feel like whenever we meet our brides or if someone's looking for something, we're like, oh yeah, we won, blah blah blah. They instantly trust you. And they're like, okay, well, we want to see what you're about at that point.
That is amazing, and I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to ask you that. Do you see? Yeah, for that thing right there, the brand of that, it does build credibility and build trust. It says something, and I kind of wanted to see the power of it. We're just out here in Columbus. Columbus doesn't have.
I know. It's you should make one.
I know, right?
A
big fat competition. Wait, that's awful. Don't say that.
We'll come up with some better. We always have to brainstorm that our first ideas aren't the greatest, but.
Well, we were going to try to put on a food festival every year and invite a bunch of food trucks. We were going to call it the Big Fat Hoopla.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And then I looked up hoopla, and I'm because I was I wanted to use that word, and it was actually appropriate. It was kind of like a big deal about nothing is a hoopla. So that was and that's how we try to operate.
Hoopla.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Hoopla. A hoopla event is kind of like a big deal about nothing, and. So we were going to do that. I don't know. Maybe we'll get that pulled off here at some point. We were going to...
Wait, did you make these desks? I'm sorry.
I built these, yeah.
Did you? These are awesome. I just was looking at the bottom and I'm
cool.
oh, cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
Four of the same.
What's that?
They're 4 of the same.
4 of the same.
Yeah.
Everything is the kind of the same in here.
That's cool.
Yeah. Took us a long time. That's why we have we started our podcast a couple of years ago, and then all of a sudden there's just a big lull where we quit putting stuff out. But that was because it took me forever to do all this while we were still running the other business. Because the other business is our business is just, you're just tired, right? You're tired, and then to go do all the other stuff on the side. And
Yep.
That's why our house is falling apart.
Yeah, we usually put all of our housework on the back end, and Nico's been so sweet, and he hired a cleaner to come clean our house every week, and it's helped out a lot. But it's we put that behind us. We're we don't need to worry about the house. We need to worry about the important stuff, which is work.
Yeah. And that's okay. And at some point though, it's going to get to where you have such brand recognition that I feel you're going to be able to, people are going to pay you for that brand recognition.
Right, yeah.
And it's putting your shoulder to the wheel on this and pushing for a while. But then after a while, I think you guys are going to see huge rewards. I think you guys are going to grow big, and then you're going to kick back and drink margaritas or something.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you guys having us here.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, guys.
We do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much. And where can people, I'm going to tell them right now, 406memories.com.
Yeah. Yep.
They can find all there is to know. And there's all your socials are listed on there and all your contact information. Yep. Is that a good spot?
Yeah, that's perfect.
And I'll plug it into the description of this.
That'd be awesome.
So, all right. Hey, thank you so much. We'll do this another time.
Thank you. You guys drive careful back.
Yes, we will.